Welcome to the channel, ladies and gentlemen. All right, here we go. Friday nights, Monster Fridays. We're going to be continuing our journey into this franchise, this reboot of a classic franchise. Tonight, we're going to be talking about Dawn of the Planet of the Apes from 2014, and this time directed by Matt Reeves. That's right, Matt Reeves of the Batman fame. Before he directed the Batman, he was doing some Planet of the Apes movies. But I got Coriander and Killian with me as usual. So, guys, let's do a quick take before we see who we have in the live chat. A quick take on this movie, because this movie, I got a lot to say about it, but I want to hear from you guys. I'll start with you, Kill, and then we'll go to Coriander.
It's hard for a sequel to sometimes just be as good as the original, let
That's right.
alone evolve it, surpass it, and expand on it. And I think that's what this movie does.
Mm,
Once again, Andy Serkis, and we talked about him a little bit when we talked about the last movie in this franchise.
mhm.
He is such a talent, and he brings so
Yeah.
much life to Caesar. And this is Caesar. He's more seasoned, and he's just running things. So yeah.
Right? Absolutely, man. Again, Andy Serkis, and for those, I think people that are big movie fans and fans of the projects that he's been in, they know who he is. They know that name, but there are so many people that don't, and it is a crime. This guy has really done some fantastic work for years in multiple franchises, in multiple, let's say, otherworldly beings other than humans. So, anyways, how about you, Coriander?
You know, this was the first time seeing this movie also, so I just love how it expanded on what how these apes created their civilization, and I'm just such a fan of Caesar, and yeah, I
Hmm.
loved it.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. For me, this was, and I was starting to tell this story before we went live. This is a movie that I absolutely enjoyed when I saw it. I've seen it a couple times, but rewatching it for this episode, I truly and I actually feel ashamed to say this. And Kill, we've talked about this franchise, but I actually feel ashamed to say that I kind of lost track of it a bit. Meaning, I probably haven't seen this particular movie in a couple of years, and it is such a fine movie. I mean, seriously, from A to Z, it's such a great film. And even on its own, and we'll get into the story of it a bit, but even on its own, outside of the fact that it's a sequel to Rise of the Planet of the Apes, it's a fine film on its own. And that's the true that's one of the true measurements of a great film. But real quick, before we get going with the intro proper, let's see who we have in the chat, and we will get going. Valerie is doing what she has to do. Val the General, reminding people to hit the like button, subscribe, share the video, all those great things. And also, and Val's actually beating us to this too, welcoming the Shape and the Shadows to the Night Watch family. I want to make sure I shout him out.
Nice.
My man, the Shape and the Shadows became one of our channel members.
That's awesome.
Very, very cool dude, cool
Nice.
content creator. I'm getting to know him a little bit. He's really cool. Been on a live stream event together, and he's really cool. But if you're here, Shape It in the Shadows, thank you so much for joining the channel membership, and hope to see you and do things with you and so forth. So thank you so much. And we also had Lewis, who had joined us. I think it was yesterday. Yeah, yesterday joined the channel membership. So we appreciate you guys so much.
Nice.
It really helps out a lot.
Mhm.
So thank you. Let's see. And we got Denisha's in the chat saying hey to everyone.
Hey.
Denisha as well, putting in the link to the podcast, because I know she enjoys listening to our podcast. So
Nice.
cool, man. We appreciate it. You guys are supporting us in so many great ways. It's awesome. Uh, Dino, also one of our newer channel members, saying at work, just dropping my comment and like. Have a great stream, everyone. Thanks, Nate. Thanks, man. Appreciate
Nice.
it so much. You all right,
Mhm.
man. Thank you so much. Russell's in the chat. Extrons in the chat. There he is. Shapes in the chat. All right. Saying sup, buddy. What's up, man? Nice to see you. Thank you so much. Much appreciated for your support, man. Seriously. Russell saying, love the intro. Oh, there's more. Oh, there's more. Let's see. Marquise is in the chat. What's up, man? Nice to see you. Russell saying, what's up, Coriander and Killian? All right.
Hey.
All right. My man Bacon's in the chat too, saying absolutely love this trilogy. Yeah. All
Nice.
right. Very, very cool. Very, very cool. Let's see who else. And I know there's a couple people. Heather's in the chat too. And Dan's in the chat too. All right. Mr. Dan.
Hello.
Very, very cool. And Michael's in the chat. And also Jordan's in the chat too. Hey, how's it going, Jordan? Nice to see you. Saying hi, Night, Coriander, and Killian.
Hi.
All right. All right. She says, I just watched Dawn the other day and I love it. Very
Yeah.
cool. Very, very
Nice.
cool. Very cool. Shape saying, anytime, always got to show love and support. Much appreciated, man. Seriously. It means a lot. All right, guys. So we're going to take a quick second to get finished getting set up and give folks another couple of seconds to jump into the live chat if they choose to do so, because this is going to be a fun one. You guys know what's going to happen now. For all you guys in the live chat, for you guys watching the replay, sit back, relax. It's time to hang out with my man Caesar, aka Andy Serkis, who deserves more credit than he ever gets. You know what time it is.
Nice.
Yeah, boy, you like that?
Oh, Koba.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Can't trust it.
Man, you can't. Hey, man, I'm not gonna lie. I'm just geeking out for a minute, dude. This movie is all right. This movie is all right. Okay, all right. Let me just take a breath here. All right. Whew. Russell saying awesome intro. Thank you, Jordan. Best intro. Thank you. We appreciate that. It was fun. Yeah, Jordan saying Koba will never learn, right? I mean, and really parallels to man, right? I mean, there's a lot of
Yeah.
philosophy in this
Oh,
movie.
man.
So we got to get into this. So you know how we're going to do this. Kill, let's have you start this thing off. Anything you want to throw out there? Obviously, we're going to touch story beats as well, but anything you want to start off with?
Well, two things real quick. For one, once again, the storytelling and pacing of these movies is superb. They give you a
Yes.
lot of narrative in the opening, like crawl of all the cast members and so forth, and little news bites letting you know of the monkey virus, the ape virus, and so forth, and how humanity is dying out, and it's been 10 winters. So you get all of this very quick.
Yeah.
It doesn't slow down to show a bunch of humans, coughing. I mean, they had seeds of that in the first movie.
Yes.
And this one kind of hits the ground running.
Mhm,
And what I love about this movie is you have the apes, and you have the humans, and
Right.
you have an actor of Gary Oldman's caliber.
Thank you.
Who you would think is the bad guy or the main bad guy, but he really isn't. And I love, as you watch the movie, you're like, oh, I see what you did here. Okay. And in a way, it's kind of a waste of Gary Oldman's talents because of the way the story unravels, and we'll get to that. So yeah.
Absolutely. And I love you that you said that about Gary Oldman, because we're all huge fans of Gary Oldman, but they definitely pulled a swerve on us because you really thought, and I think that's what's beautiful about this movie too, is that the quote unquote good and bad guys, there are some gray areas in here,
Yes.
and you actually understand why every character feels the way they do. You may not agree with every character, and one of the characters I'm talking about, we saw a lot of him in the intro, but you understand how they got to that point, and I think that's very good storytelling and so forth. But Coriander, how about you? What did you think about, as this thing opens up, they're on a hunt, and you see where Caesar is in his life, and all of that? I mean, what were you thinking as the movie started, and any of the cast or anything you want to talk about?
I really loved how this movie started out, and yeah, to watch these, apes work together in a hunt and
Mm-hmm.
put on their war paint and act just like warriors. It was awesome to see. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it was nice to, to see how, like I said before, how these guys, built up their own little like community. And,
Mm.
it was the big one there. What the hell is his name?
Maurice,
Maurice.
Yes. Oh my
orangutan,
God. Yes. I
loved
love
him.
how, because, yeah, and I love how he was like the teacher of the children. And
Yes.
yeah, it was great. Yeah, this
Mm-hmm.
movie is so good. Yeah.
I absolutely agree. So many things to say about it. Real quick too in the chat, just to jump to these guys. Russell was saying Caesar is the man, right? Exactly, exactly. Jordan saying I think that's what's interesting is that Gary Oldman didn't like some of his own movies, but this was the movie that he really liked acting in because of the script. Yeah, absolutely. And
Mhm.
he's done so many great movies, so many great
Mhm.
movies. For me, in the opening of the movie, kind of like what you guys have said, 10 winters have passed, so that's 10 years. So we get to see this new civilization, and we see, Caesar with his family, with his oldest son here, Blue Eyes, who got hurt in the hunt, and he felt kind of embarrassed by that and so forth. So, watching these apes, you see us in the reflection of them. You get what I'm saying? And it's so
Oh yeah.
smart. It's so smart because this movie is teaching you a lot without hitting you over the head with it,
Yep.
which is fantastic storytelling. The thing about this movie, and I'm gonna pass it to you in a second, Kill, it does, and I took some notes. It's super notes. Usually I don't do this, but it does a couple things that to me is kind of amazing. And I think a lot of people, if they haven't seen the movie, they don't know how great it is because they might have preconceived notions. But here's the things it does. Check this out. It's part of a franchise. There's a lot of people, even in our community, that, we get franchise fatigue, right, Kill? Me and you have talked about
Oh
that
yeah.
a million times. So this is part of a huge franchise, a well-known franchise. Doesn't make this a bad movie. It's a sequel, and we talk about how sometimes sequels can be, not as good. Not only is it a sequel, but it's like what, the seventh or eighth movie in a franchise. Okay, that doesn't do anything to deter this movie. The CGI, like we talked about last week, this is good examples of where CGI can be fantastic and can
Mhm.
really help tell a very um, um, interesting story. You're able to do more with these apes than you were back in the old series. So these are things that for most movies would totally manhandle it, but not for these two movies, and definitely not for Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. I just wanted to throw that out there as a quick little aside. But Kill, let's get into obviously the confrontation, because when you're out in the woods, you might come across somebody with a gun, and there's your boy who starts this thing off. What did you think about, and this is Carver, and we've seen him a bunch of times, this actor, he's a really good
Mhm.
character actor, but what did you think of this scene and the ramifications of it, and how this really started off the conflict between man and ape?
Well, I guess for one, I love how essentially humanity, they're on the brink of, non-existence, and
Mm-hmm.
it's that they're desperate when they start going into the wilderness, into the ape lands, because they
Mm-hmm.
know they know that, hey, we shouldn't be out here. That's why we have guns. And they
Yes.
know that it's no longer their world, or only their world.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Um, and like you were saying earlier, or actually, I think Coriander was saying earlier, them with their war party, they're very sophisticated in hunting and
Mm-hmm.
security. And look, I mean, look at that screenshot right there. They were on top of them from the trees, from the
Mm-hmm.
land. This is their home. They know it very well.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't trust humans, and
Mm-hmm.
rightfully so.
Yeah.
And I just loved how essentially the humans are the invaders, and luckily Caesar does have a cool head, unlike some of
Mm-hmm.
his his other generals. uh, but I love this sequel. Oh, there's my boy.
Good old Mr. Happy.
And I just want to give a shout out to Toby Kebbell
Toby
is the
Kebbell. Yeah.
actor
Mm-hmm.
who does him. And you've seen this actor before. He's been in a lot of stuff. He's a great character actor. And I just I love the organization. It's been 10 winters, and they're so organized and they're so civilized in their own
Mm-hmm.
ape way. They have their own rules and regulations, and Maurice is teaching the young ones. They're passing on the story of how Caesar brought them out and so forth. So it's
Mm-hmm.
like, you know, any civilized culture has history and they pass
Right.
it on.
Mm.
And they do
Mm-hmm.
that. And it's so interesting and beautiful to see. And once again, look, just let them be. Like
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
y'all not ready to catch these chimpanzee hands. You
Right. Right.
saw the little scene you put on earlier. Don't make if Caesar has to talk,
Right.
that's like your mama calling you your full name.
Yeah.
You messed up. You
Right.
messed up.
Hey, and even I also liked how even when Maurice is in school is in session. I love how it has like a ape no kill ape, and all
Yeah.
those
Hmm.
types of things. I mean, like they literally have figured it out in 10 years. You know
Mm.
what I'm saying? And it makes you kind of just look in the mirror. Um, Too funny, too funny. Jordan saying also parallel to how we humans and apes are so much alike in society. Very true. Very
Very true.
true. Buff Shaman's in the chat saying hi there. What's going on? What's going on?
Hey.
Saying answered the poll, but it isn't sending my answer. Oh, well, you guys have to let me know what the poll says. We asked if this is a great movie, so it's
Oh,
definitely for me. It definitely is a great movie, no doubt
yeah.
about it. No doubt about it. Jordan saying I think the Caesar scene was so badass. Yeah, yeah. Buff Shaman saying it's not a great movie. The older series did it a lot better, even though the effects were better quality. Better quality still may not be better conceptually for the story. Oh, so not a fan of this movie. Oh,
Hmm.
you're gonna have to let us know what didn't you like about it? Because I thought they did a hell of a job with the story. This is one of those movies for me that it told a lot, you know what I'm saying? Like, and it didn't have to over explain it. Like you were saying, all these parallels between the ape world and the human world. You had
Yeah.
your action, you had your character development. You literally, just like in Rise, you're literally following CGI characters and you believe it because of the fantastic work. And again, they don't get the credit they deserve, even with us talking so much about them. But, you know, let me show you guys this. Here's Andy Serkis. I mean, he's literally, speaking the words, doing the motions. This is what they're doing, right? And this is what we're seeing in the film. You know what I mean? And it's fantastic, groundbreaking work. So to me, just some great stuff. But Coriander, once we see the confrontation with the humans and the apes. I mean, what are your thoughts at that point? Because Caesar basically was trying to keep peace with them. He didn't want to start a
Mhm.
war because he said, "I don't want to start a war." And when he comes back to the camp, and as we see in this scene, Koba, who was kind of trying to push him into doing something, has to get his forgiveness back. And then we have that scene where he's talking to his son because his son is kind of bullheaded too. What did you think of these scenes, but also what they mean? Because again, this is such a reflection.
It just, Caesar is the type of leader that you want. He's compassionate. He, you know, he doesn't just think of, the outcome of what one thing's going to be. He thinks of the
Right.
whole, scenario. And
Good point.
he's so smart, and he's just like, I don't know. It's sad that this character, got played the way he got played in this movie because, I don't know. I don't know where I'm going with all this, but yeah, he's just, like I said, he's just such a smart leader, and um, Koba, man. What can you say about Koba? He
Right.
just, we all know, this poor monkey was abused the worst that
Yes.
any of these monkeys probably had abuse by humans.
Right.
So
Right.
then, like you said, you totally understand where all these characters are coming from in this
Mm-hmm.
movie. And
Yeah.
yeah, for a sequel, it's excellent. And I always say that whenever we watch these, and they're so good. But
Mm-hmm.
it's true because I mean, it brings so many elements, this movie. Honestly, it does because
Yeah.
Caesar's just, for an animal and the compassion and,
Mm-hmm.
just his whole everything that he shows, his emotions and when
Mm-hmm.
his wife was dying and he's trusting the human to help her.
Yep.
It took him a little bit, but you could see it on his, just the emotion that this, Andy brings to Caesar is
Mm-hmm.
incredible. And yeah, like I said,
Abs-
Caesar's just awesome and I love him. Yeah.
I mean, a really fully realized hero. I mean,
Yeah.
and I know there might be some people watching this, and I know not everyone likes it. Buff Shaman doesn't like it, and this and that. But I mean, for those who do connect with it, I mean, it's literally a CGI, you know, chimpanzee, and you really connect with him through these movies. I mean, we're only on movie two, but I just think that in of itself is really just a masterstroke of good direction. I mean, Matt Reeves,
Yeah.
I think he's a fantastic director. I mean, and I know you're a fan of his work too, Kill. I mean, but I think he
Mhm.
did a hell of a job. To me, this elevated what Rise did, because we got so much more emotion, all these, like you were saying, Coriander, things going on with Caesar's family, seeing Koba develop more. I mean, that scene, and I know we're jumping ahead, but I'll give it to you in a second, Kill. That scene where, and we're jumping around, but Jason Clarke is playing part of the last of the humans. His name is Malcolm, and they're trying to find a way to you get power, energy from the dam.
Mhm.
And he explains that to Caesar. He actually risks his life because after, and we were jumping ahead, but I want to say something that Caesar said. He said, well, we're going to let the humans do their work. He was talking to Koba, and Koba, all he says is he points to like 3 scars on his body and he says, human work,
Mm.
human work, human work, all these scars because he was tortured, right? So you
Mm.
totally, even though he's the villain, quote unquote, the villain, you totally see where he's coming from because he doesn't trust man. And
Yeah.
you can't blame him. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah. But look
again,
what,
these are
yeah, but total hate, because that's what Koba has. He has complete
right,
hate and he just
right.
wants, to, yeah, take these humans down.
Right, but what I'm saying is you have these complex characters. It's not just a question of someone being good because they're good, or the villain is twirling his mustache. These are
Yeah.
complicated characters. To me, that's
Oh,
a
yeah.
sign of a good film because they could have easily
Hmm.
just made these apes just, well, we don't like man and let's beat them up. Bad.
Yeah.
No, it's going into a story of why, and even Caesar himself doesn't trust man because he has
Yeah.
seen the bad side of it when he was captive. So he has a
Yep.
reason too, but it's his character that overcomes,
Yeah.
and in the end we know what happens. But anyways, I'm jumping ahead, I'm sorry. But Kill,
Mm?
let's take it a step back because we have that fantastic scene when Caesar, he kind of listens to Koba a little bit and he says, okay, let's go and let's talk to these humans in this little town, this little city. And they roll up on horseback. Kill, what did you think of this scene?
Man, look, I loved this scene
Mm-hmm.
because essentially Caesar knows, unfortunately, humans only respond to power,
That's right.
aggression. And by him rolling up, him and his generals on horseback and the rest of his soldiers just
Mm-hmm.
on foot, and just pretty much surround this little town that they have, this little tower and this little town,
Mm-hmm.
that's scary enough. But then
Right.
when Caesar talks,
Yes.
everyone within earshot is like,
Yes.
holy shit.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Like,
Yes.
and they see that, yeah, they may have primitive weapons, but they have numbers, And they are apes, they're all pretty strong, agile, can climb, and they're intelligent, and they talk. And come on. And once again, Caesar, he does not want war because he doesn't want to lose ape lives. He doesn't want to just keep going back and forth with humans because he knows what humans can do when pushed. And on top of that, he just wants them to continue existing and thriving. He wants the little ones to grow, and he wants, everything to just be peaceful. And with that being said, he knows that, okay, we have to go show force. We need to let them know, do not come to our area. But then also he still, and it's a little later when, the humans come and just say, look, this is why we invaded your territory. There's power that we need so we can survive. We don't mean to do you guys harm. And he still is receptive to this because they came in, or Jason Clarke came and showed respect. He came he came head in hand and explained, this is what we want. This is what we need. Will you allow us to come? So just like Coriander said, Caesar is a really good leader because he's doing what's best for his people totally, and he knows bloodshed will only beget more bloodshed. But I just absolutely love that scene because we talk about CG all the time, but to have that much stuff going on at one time, apes on horses, apes just walking with weapons, without weapons, and on top of that, Caesar's son brings the book bag back for the young boy. So once again, they're showing like, hey, don't mess with us, or this is what you're going to get. But then they're also saying, here,
compassion.
You left this. This is yours. Take it and just stay where you are. We'll stay where we are.
Yeah, a peace offering.
Definitely.
And even Malcolm said, this is no ordinary. These are no ordinary apes, because even Gary Oldman is like, they're animals. Kind of a call back to the older movies. Real quick too, let me just catch up. I know you guys are getting going in the chat here. We got Jordan saying Koba is Scar, Caesar is Mufasa, and Blue Eyes is Simba. That is a very good parallel. Definitely.
That is a great parallel.
Yeah. No doubt. David is in the chat from David's Horror. New to our Patreon. Thank you so much, David.
Nice.
I know I've thanked you before, but seriously, man, you rock. We appreciate it. Saying, hey, Night Watch Zone crew, I love these movies. Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do. Buff Shaman saying, to answer your question, Night, Civilization takes longer to build than that. The older franchise, it took longer to grow from the downfall of man, which makes more sense, especially on a global scale. Well, we don't know about the globe. This is just the apes that are in San Francisco that were there at the end of Rise. And I think in 10 years they can get situated in the forest. I don't know.
God,
what do you think, Hill? I mean, it's not, it's not the total downfall of man either, because there's still humans. Yeah.
And on top of that, these are super smart apes. Don't forget that, when they were still in captivity, Caesar, he let loose the gas to make a good contingent of them, super intelligent, and then they had kids.
Right.
So they passed it down. So these guys are pretty intelligent,
But I think what they were showing, and again, it's just looking at, because this is all taking place way before the original Planet of the Apes movie. You know what I'm saying? As far as like a timeline, so man is still there, because even in the next movie, I don't want to jump ahead to the next movie, so please, no one in the chat spoil the next movie, because there's some people that haven't seen.
Yes, I haven't seen it.
Exactly. So no spoilers. No spoilers. That's always the rule anyways. You guys should know that. But in the next movie, there's still a lot of things going on with humans and apes. So it's not the downfall of man yet. It is headed that way. But the apes, and this is just a small handful of them, because even Gary Oldman was talking about, we need to reach the outside world. So this is just a small little, this is just San Francisco, part of the forest in San Francisco. They don't show anything else about the global, we don't have that story yet. But anyways, I mean, I get what you're saying, is that, in the other franchise, it took longer because it was, what was it? They had 5-6 movies. But anyways, long story short, But I don't have a problem with it in this story because they're telling the story in a different way, and plus this takes place, before the original anyways. But what's up, Ghostface? Ghostface jumped in too. All right. But Coriander, after they come to see the humans at their camp, and Caesar says, this is your home, this is the apes' home, don't come back, and so forth and so forth. Of course, Jason Clark had to go back because they need the power of the dam. Like without that,
Yeah.
they'll literally fall back into the dark ages. And they don't say what happened, but we know that Jason Clark lost his wife. We know
Yep.
that Carrie Russell lost her daughter and so forth. So you can
Mm.
imagine that mankind was on the brink of just prehistoric days,
Yeah.
so to speak. But what did you think about the scene when Malcolm had to go back to the camp after he was told, don't come back? Because I think it showed a lot about his character too, and
Yeah,
how he gained trust of Caesar.
he cared for these apes. He could tell that these apes were different. You know what I
Mm,
mean? That they were more than just animals.
right,
And he, like Caesar, he didn't want to go to war either. So he was smart to try to talk to Caesar and let him know that, look, if you don't let me do this, we're just going to come do it anyway and we're going to have a war.
right.
So, yeah,
Yes.
he was smart to go to Caesar and do what he did. So,
Hmm.
yeah.
Absolutely. What would you think of it, Kill? Because I think, it's almost like both sides, the humans and the apes, they have the wise, peaceful person, and they also have
Yep.
the wild card. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, once again, I loved it because once again Caesar shows his calm, cool personality, and unlike Koba, he has seen the good side of humanity.
Yep.
You know,
Yes.
he's seen both sides. He saw the bad side when, the guys in the ape, sanctuary, have you, the ape
Hmm.
prison would, just torture the apes for sport, for fun.
Hmm. Yeah.
But he also, he had a family of humans that loved
Yeah.
him. So he knows
Hmm.
Yes.
both sides. He knows that there are good humans out there, unlike Koba.
Right.
So it's like the juxtaposition is there. You have Koba and Caesar on one side, you have Gary Oldman and Jason Clark on the other side.
Yeah.
Uh, and the thing about it is, all four of these beings care for their people.
Hmm.
Whether it's
Right.
the apes
Yes.
caring for apes, or if it's the humans caring for humans. And they all just want to exist. But
Yep.
Hmm.
to exist, they'll have to learn to coexist, in this little portion here. And
Hmm.
Jason Clark, he is very brave to go in there because Koba was ready
Koba
to
was
do what Koba
ready,
does.
right?
And just when his body language and mannerisms, or when he speaks, I
Yeah.
mean, you could just feel his hatred for
Yeah.
humanity.
Hmm.
It's really good when, and I've said this before, and you guys, if you've seen some of our stuff, you, to have a great protagonist, you have to have a great antagonist.
Hmm.
And Toby Kebbell did his job as Koba.
Yeah.
We hate Koba, so that's a sign that, hey, you did your job, sir. You are a great actor, regardless of it being a CG character. So
Right, right. Real quick, Coriander, before I get back to you, just to catch up in the chat, because these guys are working, man. Buff Shaman saying the reboot film accelerated it too much in the interest of the action. The philosophy of the story was sold a bit short to play up the action. Yeah, I mean, it definitely had a lot more action in it, no doubt about that. But I feel as though the philosophy of the story still came through, and without beating us up over the head, especially one thing you just said, Killian, actually makes a lot of sense to me that I didn't even really think about. You've got two people on each side of the fence that care so much about their people, Caesar and Koba, Malcolm and Dreyfus, played by Gary Oldman, and Carver in a way too. Carver was the loose cannon for the humans. He cared about humankind, and we know that bad stuff must have happened to him when, you know, things started to go downhill. But they showed, like, at the end of the, I'm jumping ahead. I hate doing that, but I'm just going to do it. At the end of the movie, even Caesar himself, who is a heroic figure, talked about how he always thought the apes were better than man. And he
Mm.
says, no, we're all the same. We're
Yep.
all the same. Now, guess what, guys? We can apply that to real life. And he didn't have to sit there and say all that stuff. You know what I'm saying? It's in the context of this movie. So I don't know. I mean, it definitely had a lot more action. There's no doubt about that. But you know, movies nowadays do have a different rhythm too. Do you agree with that, Kill, or what do you think?
I feel in today's movies, if you're able to still convey the story, or without having to beat us over the head, because we're smart, we're intelligent for the most part. And I felt that they conveyed all of those, and you can look beyond the story and see kind of, two over here, two over here. Gary
Yeah,
Oldman's in it, but is he a bad guy? He's not the, mustache twirling bad human in this. The
right,
bad guy
right.
is actually another ape. And
Yeah.
so I think it did a good job of it. And
Yeah.
I guess I just don't know what people wanted from it, but I feel that Matt Reeves did a great job with this one. And once again, I said it last time, this trilogy, in my opinion, is damn near perfect, because we have other trilogies that are peaks and valleys. And I'm sorry, I think these
Well,
movies keep
and
going.
we've talked
Mm.
about a lot of those trilogies too, the reasons, you know, for their ups and downs. But Coriander, and David was saying you have to give credit to Andy Serkis for his motion capture technology, which really makes the CGI look great.
Definitely.
I agree, man.
Hmm.
He, like I said, man, he did a hell of a good job. All of the actors and actresses that portrayed the apes, I
Yeah.
think, did a hell of a good job. Here we go. Here's another shot, guys. I love this stuff. You know, this is what was going on set. You see these three actors and this actress, and this is what you see in the film. You know,
Mm.
Hmm.
very cool stuff, man. I mean, this is why these characters just seemed so lifelike, you know. And I love these types of shots here. But Coriander, I also want to talk about that scene with Maurice and Malcolm's son Alexander, and the book and things like that. You know, again, subtle stuff, but we get what they're trying to say. What did you think of this scene?
It was cute,
Hmm.
because obviously we all said in the beginning, Maurice is like the teacher of, you know, the younger apes. So the fact
Right.
that this book he's interested in, and this kid realizes that, and
Hmm.
he's nice enough to give it to him. Yeah, it was a
Yeah.
sweet moment.
And they're able
So
to sit
yeah.
down and enjoy something together, even though they have
Yeah.
a lot of differences, and even
Yep.
there's some hatred between the two groups, so to speak. But
Mhm.
again, this is subtle stuff, guys, and I think it
Yeah.
does a really good job of portraying it. Even scenes where, you know, you had the little baby, Caesar's
Yeah.
little one, who wanted to play with the
Hmm.
humans, and it
Right.
was almost like the humans realized that, hey, these aren't our enemies. You know, we're different, but that doesn't mean that we can't get along. It doesn't mean we can't work
Exactly.
together. Because
Mhm.
remember, the humans, especially Kerry Russell's character here, she helped Caesar's wife because Caesar's
Yep.
wife had an illness, but she's a doctor, so she helped with some medicine, and so forth and so forth, guys. This is all happening within the action, you know,
Yep.
because it's not just balls to the wall action the whole movie. This movie is 2 hours and 10 minutes long, so it really does have a story as well. But of course, Carver has a gun, and Caesar finds it, and Caesar goes. Look, I want to also say, and I'm going to pass it to you, Kill. Andy Serkis had such charisma, you know, in this movie. Like you could really feel kind of like him coming into his own. I was saying this to Coriander. You know, by the time Harrison Ford played Indiana Jones the second and third time, he was just like in this rhythm. He was in this groove, you know, or any actor
Hmm.
that portrays a character more than once or twice. But Andy Serkis really seemed to be coming into his own with this character, not only in how he moved, but the way he talked. And of course, Matt Reeves had great direction and camera work. What'd you think of this scene, Kill? And of course, what transpired after it?
I mean, look, once again, the trust issues with the humans, man. Like he
Yes.
said, I'll let you into my kingdom, but no guns.
Guns.
No
Yes.
guns. Come into my kingdom. And sure enough, Carver, he has to have a gun. And then on top
Yeah.
of that, when he gets caught with the gun, he pulls the gun out.
Mm-hmm.
And once again, Caesar always has to take the high road because
Yeah.
it's funny. I'm watching. I remember this the first time I was watching this, and maybe I'm just a mean person, but I'm just like, look. I don't trust Koba. He keeps wanting to, rub the hand, and I'm just
Yeah.
my bad, Caesar. I'm your boy. I'm like, nah, don't let him rub your hand. And then on top of that, the humans once again the humans because it's like I don't know if you should trust them. They're over here practicing on their gun range,
That's
and
right.
I can't wait to talk about
Yes,
Kobo on that.
Koba.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like Caesar is like that really nice guy that keeps
Yes.
hoping that the humans will
Hoping.
just be as good as he knows they can be, but they
Yeah.
keep
And
disappointing him.
that's right. And can you imagine the stress on him, trying to keep this thing together? He's trying to keep peace amongst his people,
Hmm.
aka Koba, and also with these humans, but also seeing moments like this where he's like, man, I got to protect my people too. I mean, you could just imagine, and it's really, really cool stuff. My man Frank's in the chat from the Harsh Truth saying, I think it was a good movie, but not a great one. All right. Hope you're doing good, Frank. Hope you're doing good. Nice to see you. Nice to see you. Um, but Coriander, let's also get where Kill was kind of going with this. Once um Koba does find out about the artillery that the humans have that they didn't really disclose to the apes. Not really. I don't think it was necessarily. Well, I guess they were trying to hide it, but Malcolm wasn't
Yeah.
necessarily. But once Koba finds out that they got all these guns, you have that scene where he comes to where they're working. Because the
Hmm.
apes were helping the humans, and that's that scene I had in the intro where Koba is like, I want Caesar. Where's Caesar? And he basically was, kind of trying to upstage the leader, so to speak. What do you think of that scene? And just again, Andy Serkis's performance as Caesar.
Yeah. You like Killian said before, Kobe, you can't trust him because when they first met in the first movie, I mean, he was the leader of this group.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, yeah, it just shows you how much hate and distrust, which obviously he proved that he was right not to trust the humans because
Right.
all that ammunition. So
Yeah.
this is a tough one, because in a way you can look at it as Koba is right,
Mm-hmm.
but he's also wrong,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's a tough situation. So yeah.
It is tough. It is tough. And Marquis saying Rockstar Game Company should make this a game. That would be cool, man.
That would
It
be
would be
good.
cool. It would. But I mean, it also shows that for 10 years, Koba was cool, because everything was
Yeah.
cool. No
Mhm.
stress, and you're living your life with your family. You've got your little civilization that you're starting to build, just the beginnings of it.
And
But
they
when
even thought the humans were dead.
Right, because they hadn't seen them in 10 years. Um, but even Maurice said, "Do you still think about the humans?" And Caesar's like, "Yeah, sometimes." It was cool
Hmm.
seeing these guys interact, man. This is, you know, it was cool stuff. But anyways, but Koba was cool for those 10 years because there was no
Yeah.
reason to, everything was cool, no stress. But when you get
Hmm.
stressed out or things start happening, aggression starts happening against you, a lot of times you do see the true side of who you are. And we got to see the true side of what was still within Koba, understandably, because he was tortured. But ZZM saying, I'm a big fan of the old Planet of the Apes. Me too. Me too. Jordan saying, I like how Malcolm's respect towards Caesar is almost parallel to Caesar's respect to humans and understanding nuance. And they both want peace between the species. Yeah, I mean, I think that there was some really cool things going on, in their interactions. But Kill, let's go to your scene because you wanted to do it, and let me just pull up a few more images here. Again, there's Toby Kebbell, and you see the name on his hip that he is playing Koba, and
Mhm.
he did a hell of a job, a great villain. or quote unquote villain, but he's so smart, Kill. Right.
Yeah,
So take me through this scene. This is right before he kind of takes over, so to speak.
well, he goes there. He goes there twice. He goes there one time, and as soon as the humans see him, they're like, "Oh shit, it's an ape." They're already they got their guns pointed at him, and Koba is so smart. He knows that those things will kill him. So
Yeah.
what he do? He starts acting silly. He starts acting like a monkey. He starts acting like a
Circus.
dumb a
Yeah.
dumb circus ape, and
Yeah.
it makes the humans relax. They're like, oh, okay, he's not bad. He just wants something to eat. Like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, and Koba's faking it because Koba is
Yep.
very intelligent.
He
And
is.
he's hanging with these knuckleheads, and I believe he comes back. I
Yes,
believe
he
it
does.
wasn't all it wasn't all one trip. So he goes back
Right.
again, and they see him, and he's able to get a gun, away from them, and they're like, hey, give me that, you stupid ape, yada yada. And
Mm-hmm.
Koba, he knows some things, and Koba is
He
quick
does.
to kill a human, and he takes these guys out, and they're just in disbelief, like, what? How is this? How
Yeah.
is this happening? And
Mm-hmm.
once he does it, one of the main things he wants to do is show it to Caesar. Like,
Mm-hmm.
look at
Mm-hmm.
this.
Right.
They have weapons. Like
Mm-hmm.
they were going to use these on us.
Mm-hmm.
So Koba is a flawed character, but
He
everyone's
is.
flawed. He's not perfect. But I
Yeah.
still think, just like I said earlier, how you have these two over here that care about the humans, I do think in his own Magneto versus Professor Xavier way,
There you go.
of dealing with the people in the group that he loves,
Mm-hmm.
compared to saving them compared to the others.
Right.
And once again, the way that Koba is played and portrayed, and just like so many of the characters in here, they say a lot without actually having to say words.
Yeah.
And
True. Good point.
once again, that's, if you can convey that to me, it's another sign of great storytelling and great
Mm-hmm.
direction and so forth. So
Yeah, absolutely. We got Matt. Matt's in the chat saying night in the watch zone. What's popping? What's
hey,
going on? What's going on? Ben Grimm in the chat too. What's going on? What's going on? All right. But Coriander, the other scene I want to talk about too is, he has a game plan against Caesar in a betrayal. And that scene was rough, man, because and tell me about that scene and your reaction, Coriander, because again, we haven't mentioned this, or we might have, but this is Coriander's first time seeing these movies. So it's very interesting and fresh perspective. But what did you think about the scene where Koba betrayed Caesar and how it happened?
Yeah. It was disappointing, shocking. I wasn't expecting that,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was, and yeah, just the fact that when, Caesar, they locked eyes, and they had a moment of
Yes.
like, what? And yeah, I mean, again, I guess I didn't think he would go that far as to
Mm-hmm.
shoot him and supposedly kill him.
Right.
So yeah, it was like I said, I was pretty shocked and I was like,
Mm-hmm.
holy shit. But I had a feeling that he wasn't dead, and I'm so glad that he wasn't.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was
Yeah.
shocking.
Yeah, it was shocking. Bob saying Caesar is the true leader. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, but when he used the gun to shoot Caesar and blame it on the humans to start the war, to ignite the war. First of all, it was very smart of Koba. Koba is very smart. I
Yes,
mean,
he
seriously,
is.
he's almost at that same level as Caesar, of course, because
Mm-hmm.
he had the serum given to him too. But anyways, but that's his moment because Caesar gets hurt, he's dead, and so Koba's like, "Hey, it's time to party." And they go right up to the human camp and they're shooting guns like it's
Yeah.
in the Predator. You know what I mean? I mean, seriously. And then next thing you know, and again, this is what I'm talking about philosophy and not always needing to say things. Even in moments like this, they're going buck wild, right, Kill? And I'm going to send it to you in a second. And then you had that scene with Gary Oldman. He starts going wild. So again, these two different groups, right? You think there's this big difference between them? No. They're pretty much one and the same. And you see that in these scenes without it even being said. To me, that's great storytelling. Kill, you got to tell me what you thought of that scene. And also this scene with the tank when Koba jumps on top of the tank and it's doing that 360, slow-mo 360. Dude, seriously, that was a great scene. What did you think of it?
I mean, I love what you just said on the whole parallels between the humans versus the apes. We're one, at least in this movie, we're one and the same. You know, we use violence, you know, to protect the little bit that we have, you know, in this world. And Koba is that battle general that he's not here for peace. What peace? You know? And the thing about it is every weapon the humans have that they try to use against the apes, Koba just turns it around on them. Like, oh, you guys brought a tank. Thank you. And Koba just hijacks the tank. And you know, and of course, if you were to say some of this stuff just in a conversation, someone would think, are you high? Like, man, you see that movie where the monkey took over the tank? Like, wait, what? You know? But all of that works in this movie because of the narrative and the previous movie, and just, you know, this is great science fiction. But you know, and the thing about the action in these movies, I don't think, and this is just my opinion, I don't think these movies are just action. You know, there's a lot of tender moments, there's a lot of quiet moments, even a little bit of comedy, like with Koba acting silly just to get the weapon away from humans. But when they do have action, like, you know, it's here. You know, and I love the 360 shot you were talking about with Koba on the gun. And once again, the humans are like, what in the hell? You know, it's like, all right, we got our war. So, and Koba, you know, Koba has his war. And last thing I'll just say, and I hope I'm not jumping ahead, Koba can be ice cold, even to other apes.
Yeah, he
that
was.
One poor ape. Well, I was just gonna say that one poor ape where Koba told him to do something. You know, hey, kill this human, and like that ape took just a quick second to be like, no, here it is. Like, no, I don't think Caesar would want that. Koba did that typical villain thing of like the villain turning their head like, oh well, and then grab them, and he just threw him off the top of the, you know, the landing, dead. You know, is someone else gonna tell me what Caesar would want? Because Caesar's not here. And it's like, wow, once again, showing that the apes are just as bad as the humans.
That's right. That's right. And that's the thing is, it's all gray. You know, so much gray. You know what I'm saying? Coriander, and I know we're geeking out so much about this, but as we head to the finale of the movie, obviously Caesar is still alive, and Malcolm and Ellie, Kerry Russell, they help, you know, nurture him back to health and so forth. I love the scene in the attic when Caesar is looking at the video, and I put that in the intro, and I always put things on purpose, but I thought it was a nice little callback to Rise, where he looked at the video camera and saw the video of him as a young chimpanzee with James Franco, and he smiled. Do you see him smile?
Yep.
He smiled. He also was crying when he asked his son, what about your mother? What about your little brother? And you saw the tears with him, and also with Blue Eyes. So again, it's some really cool stuff, man. I mean, you really, and you see how he's so conflicted because he knows his father wouldn't want it to go like this, but at the same time, he doesn't trust these humans. So it's very similar to how, soldiers sometimes in war are asked to do things that they may not necessarily agree with, but at the same time, they're at quote unquote war. So again, a lot of parallels. But what I want to do, Coriander, is get back to you. When Caesar is back to health, and they get the crew back together, Maurice and the guys,
Mhm.
and he has to face Koba. Look, man, this was an awesome throwdown. What did you think about this finale? You got Gary Oldman down below about to blow up the whole thing. It's basically a
Yeah.
suicide mission, and Jason Clarke has to stop him. So you had two stories going on at once. What did you
Yeah,
think
you
about
did.
this for the finale?
I thought this was a great finale. I mean, again, you had these two facing off with each other, just like the first time when they met.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I mean, Koba was just, yeah, he's like, once he saw that Caesar, Caesar loves humans, that's all he
Mm-hmm.
had to think. And that's all it took for him to just do what he did. And yeah, I mean, this Koba is just like evil,
Mm-hmm.
he's, yeah. And I'm so glad that Caesar kicked his ass and did what he had to do to, yeah, take back his place. Yeah.
Absolutely. What about you, Kill? What did you think of this finale with those guys? And of course, Malcolm also before this, Malcolm is the one that helped Caesar and
Yep.
Maurice and that group get there, which was cool too, because again, they were helping each other. Humans were helping
Mhm.
the apes were helping the humans, and it showed what peace could be like. Both groups could be better than they were alone from each other, right? Just like the
Yep.
real world. So, but what did you think of this finale, man?
I loved it because, sort of like what you just said. I mean, Jason Clarke sees that, okay, there's no negotiating with Koba.
Right.
Because they, not only does he want war, he wants to kill humans. Now he has all these weapons and he's imprisoning humans.
That's right.
So Jason Clarke realizes, okay, the only way that there's even a chance for them to live is to get Caesar back into power, get
Mm-hmm.
Caesar, Maurice, and the boys, over there so can do what they need to do. And it felt like, we're building to this.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And as sad as it was to see Caesar have to fight another ape, which is something that he said in the first movie, apes together are stronger than apart.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He knows that they are a family, and for them to thrive, they have to be of one mind. And that's another reason why, sort of to the comment, in the chat, 10 years, they did all this in 10 years. They did all this in 10 years because, unlike humans, there's no distraction.
Right.
They are singularly focused on building their own little civilization
Right.
in the trees. I mean, nothing too crazy. Just, hey, we got our little tree village here.
And the
Use
other
some
thing
stuff that was
too,
already there and built,
right. Well,
and they just retrofitted it. Go ahead.
but let me also say this too before giving it back to you. I mean, again, this is science fiction. So who's to say that, it maybe it could have happened in just 2 years. I mean, or maybe it would have to take 1,000, but I mean, well, probably not, because the animals themselves are very good at setting up their own little civilizations and so forth. So to me,
Yes.
that wasn't even an issue for me. But I know obviously some
Yeah.
people might think differently. But anyways, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Kill.
No. I just, it just shows kind of how pure their culture could be and what they can do
Right.
in a short period of time when they're not fighting themselves.
That's right.
And once again, that's an allegory for humanity. If we stop fighting ourselves, what can we do?
Mm-hmm.
If we stopped hating each other, what can we do together as a
Right.
civilization?
Right.
So once again, to see this fight between these two apes, it's bittersweet and it's a little sad, but it's necessary because Koba's got to go.
Yeah.
There's no more, like, no more of this. You
Yep.
got to go,
Yeah.
Koba. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, you got to go. So
Right.
I thought it was awesome. I just amazing.
It was, because and again for you, Coriander, I'm going to give it to you here. But Koba, he had a game plan, and it almost worked. It almost worked, but at the end, when Caesar had the upper hand and Koba's hanging by his hand, and he was
Yep.
injured too. And by the way, Caesar was very smart to strike Koba in his area where he was wounded. Just a lot of cool little things that they were doing. It
Mm.
was really cool. But anyways, and Koba said, "Ape, not kill ape," and you can see Andy Serkis thinking. You see Caesar thinking about this philosophy that was a cornerstone of their family, a cornerstone of their civilization. And Caesar knows that everybody's watching him.
Mhm.
Maurice and the gang, his son, and he wants to have the good example. But then he has that look on his face and he looks at Koba and says, "You are not an ape," and lets
Mhm.
him fall. What did you think of that scene? I mean, to me, it was just so powerful, man.
Yeah, it's what he deserved. I mean,
True.
look what he started. He started this war. I
Yep.
mean, they, the humans got what they wanted, and Caesar let them do it peacefully. They got their
Mm-hmm.
power, they got what they needed.
Mm-hmm.
But Koba and his hatred for humans took over, and yeah, he totally got what he deserved. So I didn't feel bad
Yeah.
for him at all.
Yeah. I mean, he even Caesar even said to his son when he was still kind of on the mend, he was saying Koba only knows the hate from humans. He
Yeah.
never knew the love from
Hmm.
humans. So in a sense, he's more ignorant than just pure evil, right? Because he only
Yeah.
knows the
Total
hate.
ignorance. Yep.
Whereas Caesar knew love from James Franco. He knew
Yep.
love from John Lithgow. He knew love from Frida Pinto. He also
Yep.
saw hate when he was in prison, but he knew that wasn't the only thing that humans were is hate. So it was
Hmm.
just again all these parallels, guys. All these things are happening, and it's just fantastic stuff. But the sad part is at the end when Malcolm, Jason Clark says to Caesar that before the explosion happened, they got in touch with the military, and the military is coming, to fight the apes. And so Caesar's like, well, you got to get your family out and go. And it was so sad because, and Jason Clark was good in this too. I want to give him credit too. We haven't talked much about him, but he was very good in his role as this
Yep.
human. But he even said, I really thought we had a chance
Yep.
for peace. And again, I know I keep saying this, guys, but Caesar, Andy Serkis was like, I did too. And you can kind of feel the emotion. And then of course you have this fantastic scene um where it was basically kind of like a goodbye, a show of respect, a show of love. Again,
Yep.
guys, I mean, I'm not trying to sound mushy, but I'm just saying it's cool shit. What'd you think about this kill as we head on out?
Well, this particular scene right here, the head, he did the same thing with James Franco at the end of the
Yes.
first movie.
Yes.
It's a sign of respect and admiration, and essentially, Caesar doesn't lie. He truly had hoped that
Yeah.
maybe this time humanity has learned that, hey, maybe coexist with nature, coexist with other species and so forth.
Hmm.
And like he said earlier, he thought apes were better than the humans.
Right.
And
So even he was wrong about some things.
yeah, and
Hmm.
he's still smart enough to admit that. He's like, I thought
Yes.
this, but I guess I was wrong. And this is
Hmm.
him kind of not apologizing to the human, but kind of just saying it for himself and for the
Hmm.
humans. This time I thought it could work, but it didn't work on
Hmm.
my side, and it didn't work on your side, and that's
Hmm.
sad. And he's sad about that.
Hmm.
And with the whole army coming, he knows that, okay, there's something else on the horizon, and we'll just have to see how this goes, you know.
Hmm. Yeah.
and and
Yeah.
and it's sad because you have these two species that their existence is in the balance. Humanity's
Right.
existence is in the balance. The apes, their existence is in the balance, so
Hmm.
only time
Yeah.
will tell. Yeah.
Yeah. Real quick too, Conrad saying something that was very true, man, saying that was a beautiful scene, had me tear up a little bit. Man, look, I'm telling you, man, it got to me too, man, because you understand beyond this movie. You understand that this is real life stuff that we could
Yeah.
really parallel it to. And that's what what really got me a little emotional about it too. So you have the emotion, you have the action, you have the philosophy, you have the family stuff. It's sci-fi. I mean, it's all rolled up into one, and I think it was done very well. I mean, I know it's not everyone's cup of tea because that's just how it is, but I just think it was very well done. I really do. Any final thoughts for you too, Coriander?
I didn't know what to expect with this second movie, but I mean, if Killian's saying that this is like one of a trio of movies that's really good, then yeah, I'm excited for this next movie. And yeah, it's too bad that I waited. I've always said this was something that's like I just didn't think I would ever be interested in watching this. So yeah, I'm glad that I did, and so far these two movies, they're really good. So yeah,
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
impressed. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so too, man. And there are a lot of people, and I know Val told her story last week about how this was something she didn't think she'd be into either, and she just,
Mhm.
happened to fall into it and was very happy that she did. And I would just say, and I know a lot of people, and I know her as well. I'm not picking on you, Val, but I'm just, it's a good example how some people say, well, I'm not into sci-fi, and this and that. And there's too much CGI in movies nowadays. I'm tired of sequels. I'm tired of big franchises, franchise fatigue. Well, here's an example of a movie that to me, defies all of those things. And it does it
Yeah.
very, very well. The movie has, I believe it's like a 90% or either 92% Rotten Tomatoes score, which, some people don't care about that, but it just shows that, there are a lot of people that really thought highly of the movie. The budget was 170. It made over $700 million worldwide. So,
Wow.
it's a good, to me, it's a good movie. And I'm
Yeah.
just glad we got a chance to talk about it. And I really hope, more than anything else, I just hope if people have never seen it, that they do check it out. And if people haven't watched it in a while, that they give it a watch. I think it was a lot of great themes in it, and you get a lot out of this movie. You really, really do. This franchise, this trilogy, I should say. So, anyways, that's about all we got. And thank you guys in the live chat for hanging out with us. I know you guys were having conversations and stuff too, but thank you for hanging out with us. Marquis saying that's a nice Carrie picture behind you, bro. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. We love Carrie here. But anyways, definitely you gotta check this one out. It's a good one. And Jordan saying it shows the trilogy is quality. I think so.
Yeah.
I really do. So Buff Shaman saying Howard the Duck or bust. Howard the Duck, man. I haven't seen that in a long time. That
Oh
was a good one
man,
though.
right?
That was a good one though. Conrad saying, very great stream. This is fun. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. And we're glad you guys hung out with us while we talked about this movie for a little bit. But again, I think it's some good stuff. Heather saying, thank you so much, Nightwatch Zone. We appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And Frank saying, good stream again, my friends. Thank you so much, Frank. Go check out The Harsh Truth. They're always doing some really, really cool stuff. Good streams, Frank and crew. They're awesome. Thank you so much for hanging out, man. We appreciate it so much. Anyways, we'll be catching up with you guys next time. I guess you guys might know what we're going to do next Friday. Hope you guys decide to join in with us because it's going to be a fun conclusion to this trilogy. So anyways, we will catch you guys later. If you're watching this, if you're listening to this, you are the Night Watch. Peace.
Peace.
Watch it.